Hi, coaches. Here we are for our Mindful Monday with Coach Becky Burleigh in her office, which is quite colorful. You know, she's got all kinds of things on her wall. This is her current team. This is their team values: courage, we over me, and growth. And then,
don't forget my scooter.
Oh yeah, don't forget her scooter, because Becky is into scooting across campus, but you have to wear a helmet. This is important for safety. So Becky, today we're going to talk a little bit about 4 things that have helped you stay mindful and grounded as a coach, because you've been coaching how many years, which just means you're old, but how many years? 30 years. 30 years, but 25 at Florida. So why don't you take us a little bit, walk me through what are some things you'd like to show them in your office that are those 4 things that have helped you stay mindful and grounded.
Well, let's start with the Q-tips.
And what's the story with the Q-tips?
Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally. This is a good one for coaches, because if you take it personally, you will not survive in this profession, because everything seems like it's personal, but it usually isn't. So, for example, when a player is mad at you because they're not getting the playing time they think they deserve, that's about them and not necessarily about you. You have to help navigate that, but it's not personally about you. Or if a player, acts like they're not as committed, that's not personal, that they're not committed to you. There's a reason why they're not as committed as you would like them to be. But I think the quit taking it personally is just a good, simple reminder.
Great. Love it. All right. So what's the second one you want to show them?
Get curious, not furious.
Okay. So that's there. And tell me a little bit about, what does that mean? Get curious, not furious.
Well, I think kind of goes with the quit taking it personally is a lot of times athletes will do something that'll really make you upset or angry, and instead of getting angry, the first thing to do is just ask some questions. So a good example for me was we had a player who became academically ineligible. She was the first and only player that had been academically ineligible for us. And I got really frustrated with her and kind of let her have it, and told her she was the first player that had ever been academically ineligible. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, she had a whole bunch of things going on at home that were really serious things that I didn't even know about. And so I was really disappointed with myself for not asking more questions and just jumping to conclusions.
Great. All right, so let's talk about this quote on your wall, which says, "Who are you becoming as a result of the chase?" So how does that help you keep grounded?
Well, the original quote is from Dr. Jim Loehr, who wrote a lot of really good books. The Only Way to Win, Powerful Engagement, a whole bunch of different ones that you could check out I would highly recommend. And his original quote was, "Who you are becoming as the result of the chase is the most important thing." But that was a lot of letters, and letters are expensive. So I shortened it to, who are you becoming as a result of the chase? And for me, I think it's like we're going to pursue something really hard. In our case, we're going to pursue championships, whether it's an SEC championship or a national championship or both. But at the same time, the most important thing is how are we developing people on the way to that pursuit? And for me, like a lot of athletics is beautiful because it comes down to putting you in really difficult, stressful situations, and how you handle those situations is a big part of who you are becoming. So for me, that's a really applicable quote.
Mm-hmm. And everything else, like as an athlete, like how are you developing as a person? How are you coming along? What are the lessons that you're learning? Are all very applicable to a coach too. I mean, I think sometimes we forget that coaches need to grow as well in the process. So it's really about growth and the process a coach goes through, and becoming the person they want to be through the experience as well.
Absolutely.
So the last one we don't really have a poster for but it's one of your favorite quotes, and you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, that one's on my phone. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's really true for us as coaches, because maybe, we have a facility that's not as nice as one of our opponents, or maybe not as nice as another team on campus. And I think that it's really about appreciating what you have, not comparing it to what other people have. The same thing you could say, a player tries to compare him or herself to someone else. I try to really avoid the whole comparison thing, because I think it's like you could get a brand new car and you think it's the best thing ever, and then 2 weeks later your neighbor gets a nicer brand new car, and all of a sudden your brand new car isn't so nice anymore. So it's more about the appreciation of the things you have as opposed to comparing it.
Great. And then tying into that a little bit, you also have this concept of striving together on your team, which, is a little bit about taking the competition out, which, competition in its own right is kind of comparing yourself to others, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you get the team to buy into striving together when it comes to competition?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's just not how we're socialized. So it's like kind of changing socialization a little bit, but it's more about getting people to understand that instead of competing against each other, we can compete with each other, and we push each other to higher levels by having people around us that challenge us. It's like if you were going to go, run a 40-meter dash and you're going to get timed. Would you do that faster if you were running by yourself, or would you do that faster if you were running against someone? And almost everybody says it's against someone. So it's about understanding that we need people to push us to places we can't go by ourselves.
That's great. Well, thank you for being with us on our Mindful Monday and giving us some little tips on how you've stayed mindful as a coach in your career, but also grounded as a coach in your very long, old person career. So thank you, Becky.
Thanks.